Hello. Good afternoon to you once again. How was the previous session? Exciting. Saudi by Malakia. Full of adrenaline. Full of josh. Well, don't get disheartened. We have another power-packed panel discussion coming our way. And the topic which is going to be discussed will be wealth creation strategies for exponential growth. It's not simply growth, but exponential. Exponential is something like which grows in geometric progression, which is the fundamental of what we all call compounding. Exponential growth. So please lend your ears to this wonderful panel who will be addressing all of us very shortly. All of us are absolutely really lucky to have such an august panel which is going to address us. And may I have the pleasure of calling on Sri Navneet Munoji first, Managing Director and CEO, HDFC Asset Management Company. Navneet Munoji. Oh, he's coming, okay. So can we have, this man from God's own country. Oh, Navneet Munoji has come. Navneet. From HDFC, is managing more than 8 lakh crores across asset classes for over 1.3 crore investors. What a mind-boggling figure it is. A veteran in financial markets with over 3 decades of experience. Board member of NISM, Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. If I start reading on, you will never have time for the panel discussion. Welcome, Navneet. Please be seated. Now, please put your hands together for this man from God's own country, where I come from. He comes from Palakkad, I come from Kochi. Mr. E. Kumar, MD and CEO, Axis AMC, earlier Reliance Securities as Executive Director and CEO, prior with Kotak Securities, and an alumni of Harvard Business School, having done his management courses in leadership, strategy, and innovation. That is Kumar for you. Now, can we have on stage Mr. Kailash Kulkarni, CEO, HSBC AMC, man with more than 2 decades of experience in the industry, earlier with L&T Mutual Fund, which got merged with HSBC, Kotak Mahindra AMC, and he has got a dash of experience in insurance sales also. He was with MetLife Insurance, and prior to that, banking experience, where he started his career as the regional head of ICICI Bank. Thank you, that's Kailash Kulkarni, and he is also an alumni of the Institute of Management, Development and Research, Pune. Now, a very familiar face again, Sunil Singhania. Sunilji, founder of Abacus AMC Private Limited, AMC in the making, veteran investor with nearly 3 decades of experience tracking the Indian equity markets, and 21 years in that, from the buy side. He spearheads Abacus Asset Management Company, having nearly $3 billion in assets, with a vision to build Abacus AMC into one of the most respectable AMCs over time. FFF and each one of us wish Sunil Singhania all the best for his newly launched AMC Abacus. Previously, you know, Sunil has served as the CIO and the global head of equities in Reliance Capital Group. A highly balance sheet focused person, sharp-eyed investor, hawk-eyed, with an inkling for in-depth research. That is Sunil Singhania. Thank you. And now, it's a pleasure to welcome another person from God's own country, Mr. Ajit Menon. A proud alumni of Mumbai. Until very recently, he was the CEO of Vision India. A man who is really quick in the industry, chose to hang up his boots at the right time, and he has set a mark for himself. And I know one of his very favorite area is retirement. You know, he always used to tell whenever he needs me, boss, for anything and everything in life, you get a loan. But do you ever get a loan for retirement? That is retirement for Ajit Menon. Welcome, Ajit ji. And can we have Ms. Deepal Gala? Pardon me if I am mispronouncing your name. Senior Features Editor, Times of India, Hyderabad. A multifaceted professional with a diverse background spanning newspapers, magazines, digital portals, media, startups, etc. Currently, she is with the Times Group and she brings to the table a passion for people, content, technology, design and business innovation. Really fortunate to have Ms. Deepak Gala, who will be moderating this panel discussion. And see what a beautiful array of people we have in front of us. So, with your permission, handing over the proceedings to Madam Ji.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and the energy in the room is very high. We have just heard a lot about heart-based decision making, and while I was talking to some of the members of the panel, they said, you know, people, as an industry, if we get the emotions right, if we get the thoughts right, we will be in the right place. The numbers will follow. So I will skip a very elaborate introduction. I'll just go straight to the point with Mr. Navneet. You know, the mutual fund AUM hit 75 trillion in July 2025. What's the next big growth engine that you see? Is it new products, better investor education, or tech adoption, which will transform the industry? And how can the distributors leverage it to boast more client portfolios?
Sure. सबसे पहले तो कनक भाई, सुषमा भाभी and everybody associated with FFF, many congratulations. Every year is such a pleasure to be part of all of you. And last year मैं आ नहीं पाया था, I was in van, and मैंने video message भेजा था कि 3F में एक F और होना चाहिए चौथा. So that F can stand for Festival of Ideas, thought leadership that you get here. Could be Festival of Networking. And Kanak bhai, तीसरा मैं भूल गया, Festival of Celebration. You celebrate the success of all the achievers here. So many congratulations once again. It's such a pleasure to be with all of you. And Sabji bhai बैठे हैं. We had an opportunity to have coffee with him. And मैं भूल गया Sabji bhai, आपने क्या बोला? 50 रुपए लेके निकले थे. 12 रुपए लेके निकले थे और अभी I don't know कितने $1 billion होंगे. But that's what like India's journey is, and I think over the next 30-40 years, hopefully several of us, if we have the same conviction, if we have the same commitment, if we have the same courage and character, I'm sure all of us will have similar stories to talk about. कि यहाँ पे AUM था और वहाँ हो गया, या इतने clients थे और इतने client हो गए. We need to have the same, I think, the courage, conviction and character like that, the faith that we need to have. You asked like all of, so I would just say like a short answer चाहिए. So all of the above. He said something very interesting. I was discussing about natural diamond versus lab-grown diamond. And he said that if I have 9,000 people and I have to ensure that I have to keep job of everyone, we have to keep the economy running, and there is a new generation who's asking for that, why wouldn't we do that? It's as simple as In our business also you can replicate the same thing. We have been selling certain set of products, we have been selling in a certain manner, but if there is a new gen which is looking for content in a different manner, which is looking for maybe products packaged in a different manner, we have to be prepared for that. And whatever happens in the market, as long as we remain centered on the clients, as long as we keep the faith in the long term, as long as we do the right thing, I'm sure business is a long, long way to go. There are many panelists, so I'll keep it very short, but of course there are a lot more to talk to. But once again, thank you so much, and always a pleasure to be part of FFF.
I just want to cross-check everyone can hear at the back because I think there is some echoing also. You can, right? All right. Okay, that's all. So, thank you, but short answers are fine sometimes, but everyone wants to hear detailed answers from all of you. Kumar, our SIP inflows, as we know, reached a very big number, crossing 800 crore. But, okay. Can I repeat? Yeah, the SIP inflows reached 28,464 crore in July 2025. But a lot of people here in this, have been talking about how much more energized the metros are. The tier 2 and tier 3 cities are where they see a lot of interest, though there may be big gaps in awareness and things like that, so they may need more. What is your view on all of that as to how do you look at tier 2 and tier 3 cities and their growth in this case?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's an opportunity to meet people. I'm not so fluent Hindi speaking like Amit. I always wonder how he speaks so fluent Hindi. I learn a lot of things. Maybe.
You are from God's own country. I'm from.
That's a problem, right?
God's. I'm from Rajasthan.
We have 3 people from God's own country here.
Yeah. I think we are majority. Having said that, first is the number of 28,000 crores. I think recently some sell-side guys have started releasing report with that 28,000 right number or the number. I think my view is that the number has not changed much in terms of net sales number. I think it's still a 9,000 crores, 10,000 crores. I think that's one worry. Second is that when you look at number of winning banks in the industry, is only 5 crore 30 lakhs or is it growing? Yeah, it's growing, but it is not as much where it is. So when I think about this, is that I had done some work around looking at tier 2 and tier cities because substantial portion of my career went to acquire customers. I didn't manage money, right? Now we didn't manage money. I only was like you guys are advisors. So I was thinking about what's happening in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So I think the way you need to look at is that the tier 2 and tier 3 cities is not the right way to look at. You look at the pyramid, what's happening in the pyramid of people in terms of income and in terms of the cities. So if you really look at from the bottom of the pyramid, there are 2 things happening. There is an informal borrowing happening and informal savings are happening. The informal borrowings, I think banks and NBFCs have seen some covered up the much space there where they have started lending. I still remember when 10 years back when we were talking about microfinance, we used to make saying that NPV nahi hota hai. If you lend 3,000 rupees, what happens? The similar challenges we have, which I will speak about that. Ultimately, I think there is a scale which was built and now there is a large business being operated at the bottom of the pyramid. Now comes what is the informal savings are. So I did a couple of work myself to understand what is the informal savings. So there are people coming and picking up every day 10 rupees, 100 rupees. And where does this money go? And what is the mindset of these shopkeepers or a telawalas who is operating tea shops, food seller? I was very into it looking at that's where the business in India is. Indian business is on the bottom of the pyramid end of the day because 70% of the population falls in that category. So when I went there to understand, very interesting ideas is that, so he gives the money to this guy and this guy goes and deposits, but he is not sure when is he depositing that money. But when he wants money, he has to call 3 days before. Then when I asked him, what is your worry? He says, I am not worried about interest, what I am going to get. I am worried about whether I get a capital back. So they are very capital focused. They want the money back. I think that's what the whole story is. So what we did is that we said, okay, can we do a daily SIP? And we looked at liquid fund, an overnight fund, my compliance, my business guys said, hey, it doesn't make money, why are we doing this? But ultimately, I think if you invest and acquire customers, ultimately they become better customers for us. And this is the experience when our bank had in the microfinance, that you may acquire a customer which is not profitable to you, but it also may cost you higher cost acquisition. So idea here is that whatever you do of financial literacy as a foundation for this, unless you have a right product to that customer, you will not succeed. I think industry as such has done a lot of work around it. In the sense, I see a lot of 100 rupees seat, 500 rupees seat. Our own experience is that we have digital properties where we acquire direct customers, it's very, very small. But if you look at the number, when you acquire a 500 rupees seat, in 6 months' time it becomes 3,000 family. It becomes profitable somewhere. From a distributed fertility perspective, you may think that acquiring a 500 rupees customer is not profitable. But my only advice is that at some point of time, these guys will become much more profitable. As long as you are able to service this customer digitally, you will do very well. So that's my view about how do you penetrate more and get to cities. That you need to have a fair amount of financial literacy. That's not good enough. You need to have a right product to deliver.
Fantastic, thank you. That is very insightful. Close to the way we are in India. So, Kailash, with digital platforms and direct finance gaining traction, how do you see the role of distributors evolving globally in India? And what does HSBC do to keep them central to the whole wealth creation story?
So good afternoon everyone, and thank you FFF for inviting us. I think in a cricket match, if you have Sunil Gavaskar, Sachin Tendulkar, Virendra Sehwag, Dhoni and Virat Kohli in one team, and after that, whoever comes really doesn't make a difference. Am I right or wrong? Yes. After Saudi Bhai, it becomes a big focus on us to deliver something which will be at least 50% of what Saudi Bhai did. So hats off to him for a fantastic job. I think this question about digital platforms and are they a threat to the distributor community, or will they really, is there a role of distributors left?
Not so much as in what is the role?
Yeah, so is there a role of distributors left that gets perceived as a threat in a way? So all of you here have been very successful. You all manage a lot of AUM of a lot of customers, and all your customers pay income tax. And there is a direct plan in income tax also. You can go on the website on your own, you can file the returns on your own, but how many % of people actually end up doing that? They all use chartered accountants. And why do they use chartered accountants? For the simple reason that the chartered accountant adds value to their life and is there if in case you get a query or a notice, he is there to support you in terms of answering those queries and notices. I think that's exactly the role which all distributors play. I don't see the direct platforms or the direct anyway disturbing the MFD segment at all. I think the MFDs are here till such a time that they continue to upgrade their skills and knowledge and can compete with any technology which is there. If you keep attending conferences like FFF organizes, I don't think you have to worry at all. You will always be required. I think when markets are volatile, and the last 1 year has been exceedingly volatile, or the markets undergo a significant correction, I have said this on a number of occasions, that you cannot open your laptop, put your head on the laptop and cry. But if you have an MFD, you can surely put the head on his shoulder and cry, or talk about, your concerns. The MFD is there to help solve your issues, guide you in the right manner, and I don't think AI is developed to that extent today that can convince you that these are the 5 best schemes that are available in the market. Simple example I'm going to give. We are 5 of us here, and Sunil is new, so I'm not going to talk on abacus, but all of us run different philosophies when managing our funds. There's nothing right or wrong of what philosophy each one of us is managing. But it may suit certain investors and may not suit certain investors. You can't have an algorithm taking 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 7 year returns and doing a risk adjusted basis and saying that these are the best 5 schemes. So I am not worried at all, okay, on technology, but yes, all of us have to use technology for operations, for data analytics, for improving the way we work, and ensure that we use technology to our benefit so that we can grow and double our business from here on. That's my answer.
I think that was really very helpful. See, we were talking backstage about equities, and we were talking about the role that you see played on in a market which is really exploding. Would you like to share some insights into how you see them now and how you see their role as time moves ahead?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I'm an equity manager and I feel very, I don't know, they're all CEOs. I'm a pure grassroots level fund manager.
If you missed the joke, he said promoter.
So see, I'm very sure that this whole community is.
So Sunil, we are all employees, we are employer.
So I think I have interacted with a lot of them in my earlier avatar, and I can tell you one thing. First of all, I think this time the biggest pleasure is that the growth which India is giving, Indians are benefiting out of it, all because of it. Earlier it was only the foreigners who are benefiting. Because of you, I think Indians have started to benefit because of the growth. So, hats off to all of you. As far as equity is concerned, I am an internal bull. And, India is a great country. At any level, I think there are entrepreneurs like Saujibhai and his family and so many others who work hard and who ensure that India continues to grow at 6-7%. I think as long as you believe that, money will always be there. I always say this, that what we were 10 years back or 20 years back, ourselves, individually, in terms of our income, in terms of our wealth, in terms of our standard of living, are you better off today or not? Yes. And will you be better off tomorrow? तो फिर इसको पूछना ही नहीं है, किसमें इन्वेस्ट करना है? Equity. So I think that is what equity is all about. Saujibhai said, मुझे पता नहीं है, लेकिन मुझे पता है किसको पता है. बराबर, इक्विटी में क्या है? मुझे धंधा नहीं पता है, लेकिन मुझे पता है किसको धंधा पता है. And that is investing in equity. So I don't know how to run a petrochemical plant, but I know Mukesh bhai knows how to run a petrochemical plant. I don't know to make cement, but I know someone who will make cement better than that. And in India, I think the opportunity is so huge, so huge. We are only $4 trillion. I think we have a long way to go. So I think if you ask me very clearly, we can have all the jargons of GDP growth and inflation and debt in US at 37 trillion and then Trump putting tariff and all those things we can analyze and analyze and analyze. Ultimately, as long as you are confident that the country is going to grow, I think equity will be good. Only thing is, don't expect equity to be magic. Don't expect that आप पैसा डाल दो और अगले दिन डबल हो जाएगा. There will be a pace at which we will grow, and there will be a pace at which returns will be made. But definitely, I think you have to be optimistic to be an equity investor.
Ajit, in this time where we're looking at growth like this in Exponential, and our Prime Minister proudly says that India is going to be right on top, and he gives stipends for that. What do you see as interesting structures or new products or an innovative way of thinking or looking at this space, which say distributors can pitch to fuel the next wave of this kind of portfolios? Is there anything that you think is different? And I must say that all the conversation on the retirement planning funding was very, very interesting, and we'd love to hear more from you.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, FFF, for inviting me and all of us here today. So, you know, since it's a message to advisors in the way that I've probably repeated it multiple times, एक कहावत है, एक saying है, which is by a private equity investor that I've read. I've used it in some of my presentations. That when an industry is new, distributor is the key. When the consumers or investors in our industry, they become more aware, more literate, then the product becomes the key. And when the product becomes commoditized, the brand is the key. What I mean by that is that for all of us to recognize that our industry is a mutual fund industry, it is today at a stage where it's literally a commodity. Everything is the same. Regulations have changed. There is categorization. There's one fund in every category. Any new AMC that comes gets copy-paste and started. Every advisor, same kind of products beach rahe customers ko. So, you know, when it was early days, and Kailash and Namit, you all know early days, much of our conversation with the advisors used to be when distributor was king, कि अगला trip कहाँ होने वाला है? आप बैंकॉक जाओगे, दुबई जाओगे, कहाँ जाओगे? That was the time when distributor was king. We had to focus on it. फिर distributors ने इतना सिखा दिया investors को कि product बन गया राजा. And for me, I don't think it's any single product that I will point out, but SIP became key. Right? People say कि मैंने SIP किया, mutual fund नहीं किया. उस हद तक. And now with categorization and stuff, I think it's a commoditized world. I think in this, I feel that every AMC, every advisor has an opportunity to be limitless if you can focus on your personal brand, company's brand, your personal brand. What differentiates you from somebody else? कोई आपको पैसा क्यों देना चाहिए? उसका जो reason है, जो value proposition होना चाहिए, वो क्या है? And I think if one focuses on that, I believe that that is the first thing to do to improve, you know, what you can do in terms of scaling up your business, becoming a brand in its true sense. Second, I think is that, you know, there are 7 asset classes the way I see it that anybody can put money into. You can put money into equity, you can put money into fixed income, you have gold and precious metals, you have commodities, you have currency, you have real estate. And the 7th I would qualify as alternates. AIF, PMS, Bitcoin, you know, painting, all of them put together. जिसका कुछ data नहीं मिलता to compare. Those are alternates. 80 साल पहले शायद equity alternate था because you didn't know what the broker was doing in the air. Today there's enough data for anybody online to compare. लेकिन आज Bitcoin का या कोई AIF जो private placement होता है उनका कुछ 20 साल का data नहीं मिलेगा for you to compare it. But these are all things that people invest into. They do. And therefore, the second thing going into the future, I feel for advisors is कि आपको सबके बारे में कुछ ना कुछ तो पता होना ही चाहिए. All asset classes. While we may focus on equity, and my personal conviction, as Sunil said, is also on equity, for one simple reason, my personal conviction, is that equity is the only asset class in all of this that captures human progress. So if humans are going to progress and you're confidently the world will go on and we will progress, that profits are only captured in one asset class, equity. Everything else is only a derivative probably, and of course they have to be because they are here. So to me the second, and I think I'll stop with that, is that I feel to benefit for customers, what advisors should do is while equity can be at the forefront, should be at the forefront, a household requires everything. It requires loans, it requires capital market products, it requires insurance, it requires pension products, it might even need legacy like, you know, will and estate planning, obviously. In India, well, I should say unfortunately, there are 5 regulators for all of this, right? So all the loans and savings products, there's RBI, capital markets, there's SEBI, and IRDA is for insurance, PFRD for pension, RERA for real estate. And because of that, the distribution network and the licenses that have got built is such that when one seller, whether it's a banker who goes to a client, most likely he's going to say why he's better and everybody else is wrong. So a household is not yet begun to trust the financial advisor. Because everybody is saying something wrong about the other guy. Oh, वो ठीक नहीं कर रहा, मैं ठीक कर रहा हूँ, मेरा process ठीक है, वो
Absolutely.
And I feel that the more successful advisors that I've seen, and I'm sure examples in this, are people who can bridge the gap for a household across all products, from loans right all the way to estate planning. And I feel a lot of people have probably just started the journey. And for the future, therefore, my second recommendation is that please, as much as possible, understand सारे ही जो products हैं, सारे एक घर के लिए जितने भी ज़रूरतें हैं, from loans to investments to pensions to insurance as well. I think as a business, अगर आप उसको inculcate करोगे, that's the second thing that we need to do going into this.
Yeah, no, that's an extremely important point, to have the capacity to really, be able to speak about all of these well enough with your clients so that they trust. And it is about trust. We've heard this so many times from everyone. And if you are all open to it, I would love to have an entire conversation only on trust. Because that seems to be that seems to be what can pivot a possibility into an actuality many of the times. So after we finish these fundamental questions, so Navneet, so there are global trends like ESG, ETF, etc. And we've also got more than 70% of Indian investors are eyeing sustainability. And we would like to know, how should people look at sustainability as how important is it actually in a world where we see profitability as the most important aspect? If you could slice and dice it for us and tell us that how then should distributors lead these into their conversations and the portfolios, and where do you see, how important do you think the world of sustainability and the conversation around it is?
Thank you. But on trust, I must say, my chairman, Deepak Parekh, says that trust compounds faster than wealth, and you can destroy it in a moment. But it compounds much faster than wealth.
Yes.
And Adam Smith famously said, trust is the oxygen of capitalism. If you want capitalism to be alive, wealth creation to be alive, you need trust. That's an oxygen. If you are kind of not keeping that trust, तो आप oxygen के बगैर you know what happens to a human body. It is like that. So in our industry, nothing is more important than that.
Keeping the
And
trust.
also sustainability, I had the honor of chairing CEG committee where we came out with ARSR core, we came out with the whole rating agency framework, we came out with the ESG investing, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy that though, in my previous organization, we had the honor of launching the first ESG fund. But at the same time, I said that the real joy won't be that all of us launch a lot of ESG fund and get a lot of money. The real joy will be, I always say this, we should not think of financing the green. We should not think of financing the green. We should think of greening the finance. That the whole finance can become sustainable. And joy won't be that you put a label and you coal nahi khareedte, power nahi khareedte. It's a poor country. Large number of people are yet to test electricity. They are yet to get one LED bulb. They are yet to get one fan. And you are saying, no, I won't buy these stocks. And who will contribute that? At the same time, I think credit to our Prime Minister, people are changing world over from one extreme to another extreme. We have kept consistent view on sustainability. That when we did the G20 2 years back, what was our slogan? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Yes.
Whole planet is my family. Everybody in the world is my family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Parasparam Bravo Jivanam. Every life is dependent on each other. That's what we are. This is our part of DNA. This is part of our ethos.
Yes.
This is our civilization heritage, ancient wisdom. I have the honor, because I've been working on ESG for more than a decade. I talk outside India at many places, and everywhere I say that people read what's happening in ESG in Europe, people read what's happening in US. I've been part of many of the global, I would say, Climate Action 100 Plus, UNPRI, many of those. And everywhere I say that we will teach the world in next 50 years what ESG is all about. Environmental circularity, it is part of our blood. It is our ethos. Bahujan Hita hai, Bahujan Sukha hai. This is how businesses have got built for thousands of years, not now. For thousands of years. Governance, who will kind of like teach better than us. Capitalism with conscience is what India is all about.
Yeah.
So our journey from 2,500 to whatever, 10, 15, $20,000, our journey from 3-4 trillion to 20, 30, 40 trillion will be very different than any other country in the history of humanity. There is no society in the world which has grown the way we are growing and we will grow. Our growth will be sustainable, it will be equitable, it will be democratic, it will be inclusive. There is no society. When China grew, they destroyed the planet. When the other countries, whatever they are talking about today on sustainability, they are the ones who destroyed the planet. We will never do that. We never had anybody as slaves. We never went to anybody's land and took the minerals from there for free or got the people labor for free.
Yes.
We are the ones who believe in adding value to every humanity. This is ingrained in us for thousands of years. So I have very strong view that we don't have to imbibe, okay, sustainability fund तुम्हारा ESG fund का IUM इतना भाई हमारा तो पूरा 75 लाख करोड़ ही सस्टेनेबल है. बिकॉज जिसको पैसा दे रहे हैं, जो सुनील भाई ने बोला कि उनको पेट्रोकेमिकल पता है या उनको सीमेंट पता है, द सीमेंट कंपनी itself is like not worried. I was speaking at one of the largest corporate group sustainability event, hundreds of their people were there, and I said we don't have to learn from anyone. Of course, we need to have humility. If there are any good practices, if there is technology, whatever we are doing on solar, whatever we are doing on energy transition, on the food industry, how we can bring in more circularity or more energy efficiency, more water efficiency, more maybe the lesser GST emission or social side. But at the same time, what we need to do is just go back to the ancient wisdom, go back to the civilizational heritage, and this is what I believe our industry will add tremendous value by nudging every corporate, every business in the right direction. I used to use one slide earlier. What is good for society is good for your portfolio. If something is not good for society, it cannot be good for your portfolio in the long run. और एक क्वार्टर दो एक साल देख के फायदा नहीं है, because we will be a larger and larger and larger investor. 10 साल बाद हमारा AUM यहाँ से बहुत बड़ा होगा, 20 साल बाद और भी बड़ा होगा. I cannot think of यार ये स्टॉक ले लेते हैं साल भर में. If it is not good for society, it cannot be good for us. I have a and I always repeat this line: finance must be for the ultimate good of society. Everything that we are doing, all of us, we have to keep in mind, why do we exist? We exist for the society. Society is giving us a license to do this business. One license is a regulatory license. One license is the people who are putting money. But the bigger license for any business comes from society. And if we are doing anything which is not good for society, we won't exist. That's for sure.
So beautiful, so well said. Really, we need to give
I always say this that, like our Prime Minister always says, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास. चौथा वाला किसी को पता नहीं है. हाँ, that he has to keep reminding. So like सबका प्रयास में हम सबका प्रयास है. Like everything, ऐसा कोई climate change के लिए नहीं करेगा दूसरा. हम सब लोग प्रेम करते रहेंगे टीवी देख के या न्यूज़पेपर के नहीं होगा. Each one of us has a role to play there.
No, absolutely, and this is a bit of a diversion, but I do want to say that at one of the UN conferences in Germany, I remember that like maybe 10-15 years ago, India was not looked upon so well because we didn't have so many ministerial posts in environment and But I really want to tell them, and I did, that by heart Indians worship rivers. We look at nature in a very inclusive way. We don't see it as something else. And if you look at it, the lowest of the tribals will be like that, to the highest. So I do feel that India does have to stand on a platform and speak its mind on these topics like you said, sustainability. We can really show the world a different way, a different path, and we'll be able to do it with 1.4 billion people. That is in itself is something almost impossible to conceive. I do think there is something in our DNA that is different. And when I hear this in a financial panel, it's really overwhelming. I just feel so proud that all the leaders in this space, the camaraderie that I have seen in the last 2 days over here, is very unusual and unlike what would be maybe in another part of the world. Because you want to do it all, but you also want to do it in a certain way. And that's very inspiring. Really, we all need to clap for ourselves. So, Gopakumar, India's wealth tech market is racing towards 63 billion by FY25 is what we know. And I do not want to go back to the usual AI conversation, but I do want to ask you that how do you see the impact of AI-driven analytics, allowing for distributors and fintech partnerships to enhance client experiences and help them grow their book? It will come, whether you like it or not, somewhere on the path. So what is the best way or the smoothest way and what can they look out for?
Thank you for asking this. When Navani spoke about impact of AI to society, I think a lot of work is happening around that. When I was in the break, I was hearing a song, so I asked Kanakji, who has done this? He says he has written, and AI has sent the song. So already AI is here in this place, so I am not a great expert in talking AI, but from reading I can understand what we are working, what our group is working on the AI side, because we have a separate AI Incubation Center. I think, how many people have ChatGPT here? Okay? Everybody have Google, right? So if you ask ChatGPT and say which is the best mutual fund, okay? Look at the result and try the same thing on the Google search. Try it out and see. Both are too different. Why is it happening? Because somewhere somebody is making the AI learning. Okay, can I give a simple example of this? Is that one is also vegetarian. Think about his human body. And I tried to program his mind. And he likes idli and chutney. I said idli and chicken curry is better. Because I love it. Because I'm South Indian. Dal bati. But I converted into a non-veg lal mas. Right? We start eating that. Because AI is similar like our brain. So the worry today is that how society is going to use this AI. I may not differ what Kailash said in terms of whether AI investments are relevant or not. My view is that AI in the advisory is very, very relevant. It will come in a big way. My worry is only the outcome of it, because there is no regulation today. It's very, very open, where people are trying to scan, skim it, and it basically gives an outcome. So there is a huge conversation going on globally that how do we regulate this?
Yes.
To some extent, world of internet has regulated, to some extent. So if you have time, please look at this guy called Godfrey, and he is the god of AI. He is one of the podcasts tells that he made a mistake of releasing AI, and he regrets it.
Yes.
Because people are using it for wrong reasons. So my view is that as distributors, you need to look at your customers instead of going to, I've always said that when you sell a fund, when you go back and you recommend one fund based on your framework, the customer will go back in the hearing and say, hey, fund to top from here. That was the biggest challenge for you. Another biggest challenge will come in is that they will use ChatGPT or any framework. So I think you need to embrace that. You have no choice. But only worry for me is that what is the negative impact on the society? That is still underway. I think a lot of learned people is working on it. I don't know whether actually is thinking about a framework, because I can push what I want to push to a ChatGPT. I can give as much content as possible, which will exactly give my fund as a recommendation. And we have done that experiment. And that experiment works.
Okay.
So you need to be very, very careful, and you need to educate the customer. My view is that more and more people use ChatGPT when the outcomes are not fair, they'll come back to the real advisors. This is my belief.
You have to go back to the humans.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Trust. Absolutely. There's no two ways about it. But like you said, there will be widespread use, not only of ChatGPT, but Perplexity. There is so many out there, and there is definitely going to be an impact. And I suppose distributors have to be prepared for that, in sense of being able to handle those questions and also give the full solution. Like you said, they have to attend more and more such events. Thank you. Thank you for that. Can we have a conversation on alternative investments in AIs, which have heard about 1.5 lakh crore in India around March 2025? How can distributors pitch these? Should they not? And like, if they pitch them to HNIs, would it give them exponential growth, AIFs? Yeah. Would they, while they are aligning also to the conservative saving habits?
So if I've heard the question right, it's more to do with how AIFs are going to migrate from the distributor community?
Yes, on yours.
So alternates is a very good product overall, depending on what is the underlying. I think today there are two types of investors as I look at them. There is certain set of investors who like to purchase anything under alternate umbrella because it makes fantastic coffee table conversation or it makes fantastic cocktail conversation. They have really never understood the risks which are there in that product. So it may not necessarily be suitable for them. Many of them don't understand whether there is a 5-year lock-in, 7-year lock-in. So if they are buying AIFs from that perspective, I don't think it's a great idea. However, it's a good product to diversify, to get into a new category. It could be higher risk, that's not a challenge so long as you understand it. But today there are, because again if I mentioned that, the mutual fund has got commoditized because there are certain categories and you can't really do anything more. Hence, if you want to do something more, try and experiment, you will need to get into AIF. I think that's where we have to look at AIFs. Can distributors study them and recommend the right AIFs? Answer is yes. And I think it can value add to that basket that again I did mention in terms of different types of products, so long as it meets the risk profile of the customer understands there are lock-ins, they understand the risk, understand the fees and the charges, and is willing to go for it, not for a cocktail conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Sunil, there is about 8 trillion in global transfers looming, and India is seeing similar shifts. I'm talking about wealth transfers. Then, see, how can distributors use behavioral finance to help their clients with wealth transfer, intergenerational wealth transfers, and then their investment in?
I frankly not understood it properly, but how do MFDs help?
Yeah, like when there is intergenerational wealth transfer happening in the families, how do they help the different generations invest so that they don't get, with say maybe some concepts of behavioral finance, so that their decisions are accurate for the long term? Okay, thank you.
So first is I am motivated by what Saudi Bhai said, that he is going to spend everything what he has made and leave nothing behind. So then this question of transfer of wealth will become redundant. You transfer knowledge, you transfer goodness. So I think see, as an economy and as a country are young. 20, 30 years back, this whole concept of wealth and wealth management did not exist because not too many people had it. In fact, even this concept of financial assets, diversification and all was a very naive subject. I think, even those who were making money were just buying land or some other hard tangible assets. I think we have evolved to some extent. I remember in 2003 when I joined a mutual fund, for at least 1-2 years, the first 10 slides of the presentation was what is a mutual fund and why is mutual fund safe. From there we have moved a long way.
Yes.
I think the good thing is that the people who have wealth have started to understand that there is this concept of wealth management in a profession. It is not that you have a mean and you just at the whims and fancy just allocate your money to buy something which you might feel is the right way. So I think that is good. The other thing is education level in the next generation is great. And more so if you see the second or the third generation, I think the guys are well educated, they understand the concept of diversification, wealth management and all. And I think that makes this change easier.
Simpler.
In terms of behavioral thing, I think the only thing I can say is that, time and again, you have, FOMO, which is fear of missing out, in various asset classes. Now, I've been in Bangalore since yesterday, I met so many people. And after I speak half an hour, 45 minutes about equity, the question I get is, gold khareedenge. So I think somewhere, this is what the real, thing is, that because the last 1 year, gold has done so well, you start to believe that in the next 1-2 years it will do. And this is an example, I don't know, it might do well also. Same goes with equity. 2020 and 24, equities did so well that now whoever wants to invest in equity has that notion that I am going to make 25% tax. Or even in some other asset classes. This whole, now 1 year China has done well. Before that 10 years China did zero. But we are remembering the last 1 year. And there is this huge clamor that can I buy some China fund or a Korea fund or a NASDAQ fund. I think these are very simple examples of behavioral sort of way of thinking which I would not say motivates but which leads us to that goal, which is recency bias. And I think the senior guys, the experienced guys, through their experience can explain that don't get into this because it is possible that at the peak you might get into some asset class which is not viable, and that is where I think the role of all of us, including us, the financial advisor, the distributor, and even the investor will come into being. Right? A proper, I would say, analysis of your risk parameter, a proper analysis of your goals will ensure that you don't get swayed by recency bias. And I would say that is the simplest way of doing it. Because it's a very complicated subject. And I don't think you should complicate your wealth management in such a simplistic target, goal-based investing with proper diversification is what we will learn from our past mistakes.
Very well said. And I want to say that we're going to open this up for audience questions. And this is such a phenomenal panel, you can't miss asking them your questions. But I do want to ask one last question to Ajit, and if you do not ask questions, I will continue. Ajit, now after hearing all of this and all the things that you know, where can we honestly look at where the mutual fund industry will head maybe by 2035, 2030? Where do you see it going?
For the mutual fund industry, that's very specific and like Sunil said, we are all optimists here. We are all part of the industry and biased about it. But I think the panelists have, especially Namit and Sunil and Ashok, all have talked about India, and I don't think this audience requires an introduction कि India में क्या हो रहा है और क्या growth होगा. But in very simple terms, I think आज India की जो कोई भी household balance sheet को अगर देखा जाए तो real estate is still about 48-50% of the balance sheet. Gold is about 12-15% of the balance sheet. About 30%, 32% is financial assets, जिसमें 10% of mutual funds हैं from a household balance sheet perspective. But this financialization journey that India has been on has obviously meant that इस चीज में mutual funds का जो CAGR है, industry is growing at 20% per annum. So, to your question, maybe 10 years out, will the proportion of mutual funds be higher than that, say, of gold in households? I think definitely so. It would be, and for that matter, gold can be bought in mutual funds as well. So it's easier comparing the physical gold part in household balance sheets. And it could get very close to where real estate is. And if you see recent things where rates have been now qualified as equity from a taxation perspective, in which SEBI has made that change. You can participate in real estate in the capital markets. Internationally, it's a very mature market and people do so. In India, very less so, but there has been quite a bit of progress that we have made. Even real estate investments will come through financialization, through the capital market products that we have. So I think that, it's a no-brainer to say that mutual funds would probably exceed everything. But I also believe that एक व्यू लेने के लिए कुछ चीजें जो बहुत धीरे से काम कर रहा है और धीरे से जो चेंजेस आए हैं. I think the first big change, if I were to go back and put a finger on it, was when the Urjit Patel led committee recommended कि RBI का जो focus होना चाहिए वो inflation targeting होना चाहिए और 4% ±2 का target पार्लियामेंट ने दिया RBI को. And the government said कि growth का responsibility हम लेंगे, आप inflation कर लेंगे. And they changed it to the CPI. And I think what that has done actually is made our businesses relatively more predictable, because now you know what the government or the central bank would do if inflation goes up, where interest rates will go, and if interest rates go, what will happen to different asset classes. So if you're a student and you get into learning about that, you have got more predictability of business. It's given a lot of stability to India, and the institutionalization of, or rather the institutionalization that has happened of the RBI is one of the best things that have happened in this history. But now let's come to this, that you had Aadhaar, and now identity verification became easy, because millions of Indians technically did not have access to formal finance, right? You not only had Aadhaar as a starting point, as a building block, then you had Aadhaar e-sign, which meant that if you wanted to take a loan or do anything, you could technically do it on the mobile phone. Then came the DigiLocker. Now all of your documents could be easily verifiable by institutions, individuals, businesses to move faster. Then came UPI on top of it. And now, it was almost like overnight, India adopted that as an approach to move money. UPI now has auto pay, right? Which means that you can pay bills, you can pay EMIs and things like that. With all of this, more than 500 million bank accounts got opened. And even if it's a maid in somebody's house or a driver or a kirana wala or whatever, now their finance is there in some bank statement. Right? It is available.
Yes.
And I'm just talking about the things that are happening that can accelerate for us to think about how the business could possibly move. I think the last 2 blocks are being put into place by the government now. 2023, they notified the account aggregator framework. It essentially means that with a person's consent, his bank account statement, his insurance statement, his mutual fund statement, everything can be accessed by an advisor. And now you can get a 360-degree view of that customer's finance to advise properly, to understand their risk. And cash flows have become transparent because that statement is being shared. And the government has done a phenomenal job to get RBI, SEBI, IRDA, to accept it. Everybody is accepting it. Banks, everybody is accepting it. And I think the last piece after the account aggregator model, and Sahamati as an infrastructure is already built in for banks or financial institutions or advisors to think about whom to operate with. That part is also getting taken care of. And I think the last bit will be the CBDC, the central bank digital currency. Because there are still people in India who are moving from state to state, laborers and daily wage earners, who will benefit a lot by just having a digital wallet on the phone to send money back to them. And then you can target subsidies, you can do so much. So, this panel, especially Navneet, Coke, and more senior than me, they would probably talk to this much more in terms of this is the new India which is not there anywhere in the world. We're exporting this system to Singapore, UAE, Nepal, Sri Lanka, everybody's operating on this. So to me, I think that when I hear all of this and I bring it down to what is the future, I think that don't just expect your AUMs to go up by some linear number, because the magic is when money starts moving. Absolutely. People like Saoji Bhai, as he said, expand, consume, spend and you get back. As these systems, as the CBDCs, account aggregator models, UPI, all of this is what it's helped is basically make the money multiplier within the economy, and that starts getting wealth into people's hands. The same investors that they're managing today. And don't expect your AUM to go linearly. I expect that be optimistic that this is going to be 10x, in 5 years' time rather than a 2 or 3x that you think of. So I think the future is extremely bright, and I don't know what else is coming.
Yes. You've touched a lot, joined a lot of dots for us. The new India, would you like to say something? Navneet and Kumar, any of you, all of you, before the questions come from the new India that he spoke about, would you like to add?
Yeah, I think the formalization of the economy is like too big a trend. What like I think taking from some of the other people said that. So this, the personal income tax exemption limit going from 7 to 12 is a very big leap. And on the other side, GST on large number of items is like 5%, right? So you feel like yeah, GST they did it. But a lot of small businesses, millions of small businesses, and 7 lakh to 12 lakh, just think about it. मैं हमेशा हम चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट सुनील भी सीए है, हम लोग मजाक करते रहते हैं कि सीए फॉर्म्स में इंडिया में ऐसा होता है दैट वो इनकम के हिसाब से टैक्स नहीं पे करते, वो टैक्स के हिसाब से इनकम डिसाइड करते हैं। सर मेरे को तो इतना 2000 रुपये देना है, 7 लाख की लिमिट है तो 7,20,000 इनकम है, 12 लाख है तो 12,20,000 हो जाएगी। 1 साल में नहीं करेंगे वो, 2 साल में कर देंगे। बट एक होगा द फैमिली ऑफ 4 कैन अर्न नाउ, थिंक अबाउट इट, 48 lakhs, एंड बहुत सारे खर्चे भी चले जाते हैं हमारे तो हर लाइक टैक्स पेड होने की सैलरी के बाद है सब कुछ, एंड उस पर GST, तो उनका तो वो भी सब चला जाता है। So 60-70 lakh rupees of income, somebody running a grocery store, somebody has a car dealership, somebody has any kind of business, 60-70 plus थोड़ा खर्चा चला गया उस पर, 70-80 वो आ गया अभी उसके अंदर। Now think about it, this money was somewhere in the system, now it's come in the books. What they will do, they will invest it somewhere in financial assets, which they were not. Why people have this fascination for gold, real estate, all the informal lending? I come from a small town in Rajasthan, and that's how it's across the country, where businesses lend to each other. एक जना होता है वो लाइक 100 फैक्ट्रीज वालों को पैसे देते हैं, लेंडर होते हैं, बोरोर होते हैं, अब वो पूरा धीरे 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 उधर चला जाएगा। Now imagine the power of this formalization, where the 5.5 crore investors, that number can grow in next several years. So I think there is tremendous opportunity. अगर कचरे देना बार इतना क्यों सोचते रहते हैं इंडस्ट्री कहाँ जाएगी? हम तो ऐसे फंड मैनेजर थे, हमने तो 100 करोड़ सेलिब्रेट किया हमारा फंड, 1000 करोड़ किया, 10,000 करोड़ तो बहुत बड़ा लग रहा था। 2002 में 2002 लुक्स लाइक यस्टरडे, इंडस्ट्री का साइज 1 लाख करोड़ ही था, 1 लाख से 75 लाख करोड़ हो गए पिछले 22 साल में। तो अगले 22 अच्छे ही होंगे, खुद पे ट्रस्ट होना चाहिए, साथी भाई ये बोला खुद पे फेथ होना चाहिए, हम भी करेंगे। अपने को तो एक ही है कि इंडस्ट्री की ग्रोथ से मेरी ज़्यादा होगी कि कम होगी, राइट? इंडस्ट्री की ग्रोथ से मेरी ज़्यादा होगी क्या कम होगी? दूसरा मैं ज़्यादा ग्रो करूँगा और भी लोग कॉम्पीट करेंगे तो इंडस्ट्री ग्रो ज़्यादा हो जाएगी। बार बार ये कुछ चिंता करते रहते हैं इंडस्ट्री कहाँ जाएगी, अच्छा ही करेगी।
Would you like to add anything? We will be opening up to questions.
I think one of the thoughts which I was thinking about is that where is that financial literacy going, and where is that set of new customers coming in? If you look at our days, even beachfront was not there, the market was there. If you look at NCERT circular, look at the books what they said. In 10th standard, CBSE said people learn about mutual funds. If you go back 10 years back, when they pass out as a graduate, they don't know about all these instruments. They generally used to go and buy fixed deposit.
Yes.
And they never knew the concept of saving. Today you are taught at the age of, what, 16?
Yes.
In the
Maybe
schools, which is quite unheard. I think that's an opportunity for all distributors, platforms to get these customers. My view is that I would other script saying that mutual fund industry make the unique patch only 5 crore, 38 like my partner, my colleagues are there, they always think about it. Because we as industry are chasing areas. We don't chase customers. The fundamental reason we all exist in industry because of our customers. If you go and ask a mutual fund sales guy, he says, I don't know my customer, but I know my distributor. And so when I came from other side, I used to ask this question saying that, how many customers does ICMC have? So somebody, not in our organization, said, "You're asking the most stupid question. We don't deal with customers. We deal with the distributors." So as manufacturers, we don't also focus on building customers.
Yes.
Where does our distribution? It's very important for us to think from a customer angle. I think I'm very, very positive that the new generation coming in are much more financially literate than what it was 10 years ago. So that's a great job done by the government by bringing it as part of the curriculum of 10th standard.
Absolutely, absolutely.
This one, I saw some questions on the AI. So today asking that will AI impact me or do I need to use AI? It's like 100, 200 years back asking do I need electricity? So AI is the new electricity. हमारे जैन साधु संत अभी भी हैं जो 2500 साल बाद भी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी यूज़ नहीं करते, but going for a different reason. But otherwise, can we live without electricity? It is like that. So AI is needed. There are a lot of things that, let's say, personalization at scale, creating content at scale, answering email, you can have bot, you can do like many things at scale which you are not able to do that with the AI. So definitely you need that. If you are not, somebody else is using it, then you are in trouble. So obviously I think everybody has to use AI. But I think a little deeper what AI is doing. What AI is doing is replacing the human brain. What AI won't be able to replace is human hand and human mind. This is the fourth biggest revolution in human history. The first was agriculture. When we turned from hunter-gatherer to like how to grow our food. There was industrial revolution where we saw that यार जो चीज़ हम हाथ से कर रहे हैं वो तो मशीन स्केल पे कर सकती है. Then we had the information revolution last 60-70 years. This is intelligence revolution. This is replicating human brain. But think about it is much bigger than that. It is like hiring large number of PhDs in your office by hardly paying anything, and the guy is a 400 का IQ, उसको कॉफ़ी नहीं चाहिए, चाय नहीं चाहिए, खाना नहीं चाहिए, वो 24/7 काम कर रहा है आपके लिए, उसको इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं चाहिए, ऑफिस नहीं चाहिए, and you are replicating like hundreds of people like you by using that, so you have to use that. But what it won't replace is and things that will be, so अगर आपका job is only mainly creating a good content, mainly creating, you analyze the portfolio better, you answer mail better or something, वो तो चला जाएगा. What will not go is actually the things that you are doing with the hand and mind. कैलाश ने बहुत अच्छा बोला कि जब बाजार नीचे होगा ना तो लैपटॉप पे तो सर नहीं रख सकता है. वो जो सर कंधा है जो आप जो when he shaking, you shake your hands of confidence, वो बाहर नहीं जाएगा यहाँ से. The other thing is mind actually, because the things that are done by hand and mind will become more valuable. I give you another analogy of, let's say machine में चेन, समझे भाई अगर मशीन से बनी हुई ज्वेलरी है और हाथ का कुंदन लेना है, हाथ की कारीगरी है तो आप किस पे ज़्यादा पैसा देते हो, right? Machine does a better job in terms of whatever, but you need हाथ का, you wear that. हाथ का shirt, you pay more money. This is exactly will happen post AI world. Things which are done by mind, which is let's say counseling, physiotherapy, and making you laugh, making you cry, anything will become immensely valuable. Things which are done by hand will become immensely valuable. मुझे लगता है गवर्नमेंट को सबसे ज़्यादा पैसा लगाना चाहिए विश्वकर्मा स्कीम पे. Things that are done by hand will become very valuable. Things that you sit on the desk और कंप्यूटर पे काम कर रहे हो वो सब तो एक आदमी जो कर रहा है वो 100 का काम कर देगा एक बंदा, right? So our job will actually transform in more and more. How do you become a better storyteller? How do you become better at like understanding the psychology of each other, understanding the family? That will become insanely valuable. But अगर आप वो AI यूज़ नहीं कर रहे हो तो खाली उससे नहीं चलेगा, because the content somebody else will provide better. Portfolio analytics somebody else will provide better. IMP जो आप कर रहे हो, somebody will do a better job on that. Operation जो आप कर रहे हो, somebody will do a better job on that.
Yes, that's really insightful. And should I read some of the questions? What is your view on Jio, BlackRock, AMC as a competitor in the industry? Anonymous. I'm just, please.
Generally we don't talk of competitors, but I am going to brave this one. So I love competitors like Jio platform, and I'll tell you why. If I ask hand on heart, what is the toughest job in our industry for all of you sitting here, you will say onboarding a new customer, yes or no, because of KYC. You agree with me? Yes. So who's going to do that? So once KYC is done in our industry, you can sell them any product out of the 45-50 AMCs which are there. Yeah. So never say no to any giant who's coming. SBI did it many years ago. They have the mind, they have the clout to add new investors to this industry. Your BlackRock will do the same. Our industry from 5 crores, 30 lakh, which Hope is very, very disappointed about, will become 15 crores. Earlier I said it will take 5 years. Now I'm very confident it will happen in 2 to 3 years. So look at this as a very positive.
Very good. Yesli Karwala is asking, when will SBI and
मेरे
RBI...
पास 30 साल का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड है HDFC फ्लेक्सी कैप फंड बैलेंस एडवांटेज फंड तो किसी को भी 30 साल लगेंगे वो बनाने में जब 30 साल हो जाएंगे तब मेरे पास 60 साल का हो जाएगा
So, if somebody can scroll the questions, then we can see the other questions. Platforms like Zerodha and Pro are also capturing markets with their ease of doing business, investing techniques. Small distributors can't compete with them and their approach. Please guide us how we can sustain ourselves and grow in future. This question. Somebody, yes, please. No, these questions are coming from the audience.
I think one thing we already agree is that there is no business called digital business. Digital is given, that customer expects you to have that platform. So my view is that if you don't have a platform which can give 4 components, onboarding a customer, advisory, execution, and a reporting tool, then you're in trouble. Fintechs will be most of it. I think the time is there. If people are not able to invest money, you need to think about it and start doing it now. Because if you are not able to do these 4 components, these guys will come and compete. There are fintechs, their job is not to give mutual fund advice. They are not into business mutual fund business. Their business is brokerage business, they will acquire customers from mutual fund. And we have seen some successes, but if you look at persistency, they are very poor. Because that is not their main business. They have been acquiring customers through mutual fund direct and selling brokerage or loans. So my view is that if anybody comes and tells me there is a business called digital business, I laugh at them because digital is given today. There is nothing called digital business. So last 5 years, that is gone by default. So at some point of time, I was head of digital production. I would have lost job by now by saying that. So what my view is that you need to gear up these 4 components. The 4 components is not there, customer experience is poor, they will shift platforms. I'm very clear about it.
Yes, so I hope the person who asked the question has the answer. Are you coming up with any platforms for RIAs who can actually collect fees as unit redemptions while pitching direct lines? Because in the Indian market, to collect fees via check is difficult. Someone has asked this question, it's anonymous, so I don't know the name. Is there anyone who wants to take that question? And can we scroll, please?
I don't think, I think suggestions will be made to SEBI as the ARIA Association is working on it. And SEBI has actually, lightened a lot of rules on the RIA side, but hasn't, and they even have an escrow account into which customers can pay fee and all of that, all of those systems have already been set. I think if you look at the regulator, and all of us have probably spent more 20-25 years in the industry, there have been many points in time where you feel ki yaar ye bahut ho gaya, or it's too much and it is just stifling business, can't do it. Today when you look back, all of what the regulator has done actually is create trust, unbreakable trust for the mutual fund industry. आज भी सुनने को आता है कि यार अकाउंट से पैसे निकले किसी का, some fraud or something, but not in mutual funds, not one that fraud where a customer feels that my folio was hacked.
Yes.
So it's been tough.
That is truly an achievement.
So I think that the RIA regulations currently are tough. A lot of people, some people are giving up licenses, and there's a lot of challenges there. But if you see incrementally what the regulator has been understanding from the association and from wanting to have more RIs, they're lightening up the regulations on that RI front as well. They've not yet got to a place where you can redeem units for fees as of now. But I'm almost confident that give it some more time and as more feedback goes through from practitioners, that also is very likely.
Will change, yes. Another anonymous question, MFDs need more robust back-end processes like smooth KYC, COTM, KOTM. So,
I mean, this is like a continuing work by all of us, and of course, as the industry body, I feel that also distributors work with all the partners. So the last couple of years, we have made significant progress. Had that not happened, industry wouldn't be adding the number of clients that it's been adding every single day. Every day we are adding more than what we used to add in a month's time, right? That's why simplification has happened in our industry. Before COVID, maybe half the transactions used to come physical. Now that's down to 5%. So lots of improvement have happened, but it's a journey. I mean, MFU, there are a lot of things that we are looking at. MFC, there are a lot of things we are looking at that. And it's a continuing process. And the best thing in India is, I think the way we are adopting digital technology, what we have seen the UPI movement, you are seeing that in our industry as well.
yes, absolutely. This is far more, this industry and the sector is far more conscious of how things can be made better and easier than most. And you are all far more well connected and far more use your original voices to influence the government. So that is really something we Indians should feel very lucky about and happy about. And should we take this last one? When will SEBI and RBI come together for KYC? This is like some forecasting.
मेरे को ध्यान देना, मेरे को कैसा डालना चाहिए था. If you are looking to invest in any fund, look at HDFC FlexiCap fund. But I'm sure, I mean, if he's around, we should definitely meet.
There's a very famous Hollywood term. It says, this is above my pay grade. So this is the kind of question which is there. This is above my pay grade.
Yes. See, I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. It's really been very meaningful, very directional. And I think there are certain things which we are very lucky about when we are in the economy, in this sector. I don't recognize it because we are so involved in the current. And it's on days like this that we realize how lucky we are, how much it matters to us that all of you carry so much experience. You can share your original thoughts and original voice and impact the industry, the regulations, things like that. This has been phenomenal. Thank you all so much, and thank you all for being such a good audience.
Hello. Gentlemen, kindly stay there, please. Madam, also. How was the panel discussion? I think we need to give this stalwarts a standing ovation. They really brought out what it means, and this is the least we can do. And Madam was also highly pointed with her questions, which at some point of time even made this CEO's thinking. They given us a lot of points, and it was a good sight to see so many. Sir, please. You can be seated, no problem. We need to definitely recognize your efforts to come down here, and can we have Bhavi Qureshi from Kolkata to kindly come up on stage? Bhavi Qureshi, Sudhanshu Mahapatra from Bhubaneswar, Mohit Gupta from Lucknow, Neeba Khatri from Pune, Swati Joshi from Thane, and Rajiv Shah from Varanasi.
फ्रेंड्स, तो हम कितने लोग हैं जो सब्जी भाई से फिर से मिलना चाहते हैं? तो सब्जी भाई, आपने तो एक ऐसी आग लगा दी है, और ग्रोथ हमारा थीम है, तो अगले साल सब अपने अपने बिजनेस का डबल करके और फिर सोशल अपनी जो भी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज है उसे कर कर आएंगे एक एक कहानी के साथ, और हम आपका आशीर्वाद फिर से चाहेंगे, बस आप आश्वासन देते रहिए। एंड फ्रेंड्स, we will also have the gold awards just after this, because all our CEOs are there, and I will request some of you to please stay there. It will be around 15-20 minutes it will take, so to please recognize all the gold awardees, and I will request all the gold awardees to please be in a queue so that you have the PDF in your group. Not, I'm just sharing it so that you know when to come.